Hey guys, this is Miss Cat, and today we're going to just be doing a brief overview once again of Animate just to remind ourselves some things we may have forgotten before we get into our project. So first off is we need to um, create a new animation. So we need to click on the Action Script 3.0, which is this one right here. All right. Also, we set up a few more things before we actually get started, just as a reminder. So in the Properties panel, we should see our FPS, our size, our width and our height. Now, if we've clicked on something and we don't see that, meaning like if I click on my brush, it's gone away. Like it doesn't show up anymore, right? So what I'm going to do instead is click back into just a blank section of my timeline and it'll bring it up. So from here, I'm going to do FPS to 12 because that's our frames per second. And instead of working on the 24, remember we half it and we work on 12. And our size, we're going to set to 1920 by 1080. And the reason we set it to that is that's standard for videos. So as I set it to that, now my screen, I can't actually see my whole document. If I scroll around it, you can see that. So I'm going to go up here to where it says 100%, and I'm going to say fit it in my window. So that way I can see my whole animation area right here. Now let's quickly go over how to animate. So once again, we have our brushes over here. We've got all our tools, so I can start drawing away, but I'm still on the same frame. So in our timeline, we've got our layer, and you can see these numbers, and those are our frames, right? So I'm just going to undo real quick, and I'm going to say, okay, so I've drawn my first frame of like a ball animation. So how do I add more frames? Now there's two ways. At the beginning of the year, we set up our hotkeys to be the plus on the number pad and then also the minus on the number pad, right? So our pluses added more more frames, so that way we could start drawing in them, and our minuses just deleted the frames. So if you have those set up, that's a quick way to do it. Now, if for some reason you didn't set it up, the other way you can do it really quick, oh, sorry about that. The other way you can do it really quick is right click and hit insert blank keyframe. Now we're inserting blank keyframes because remember insert keyframe will make the exact same ball appear, just in a different thing. So we always work with insert blank keyframe. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so as you can see, it does that. It's just really annoying to have to do that for so many. So I can do insert blank keyframe, and that time it's going to fill up the different things. So whenever it comes to inserting blank keyframe, you have to go one at a time or else you'll start to get these bars. I'm just going to minus those out. So I have to right click and hit insert blank keyframe, insert blank keyframe. That's why we set those hotkeys up at the beginning of the year. So once again, that should be your plus and minus on your number pad. Now let's say we start to animate. And I've drawn this first ball, but I can't see it when I get to my next one. And remember, we had something called that onion skin. So the onion skin allows us to see the frames before and after. So if I click on this, the blue is going to be the tint that's on there now, and I can actually draw another frame, and I'll draw a few frames. I'll hit plus to add another layer, or another, sorry, not layer, frame at the top. I'll kind of do that for a few frames. Now as you can see, it started to disappear. So the blue says how far back can I see in my frames, and if I actually go, and I'm going to try and draw a few more so that we can kind of get the feel of it, I can actually pull this scrub timeline. It's like allows me to see which frame I'm on, and it allows me to actually scrub through my animation. I actually have a green line which allows me to see the frames after. So I can see my frames before the frame I'm on, and I can actually see the frames after too using the onion skin. I can turn it off so we don't have to see them. And then if you want to see your animation, you can quickly press play, right? You can also hit loop, so that way you can loop the animation. Once again, at the top, depending on how many frames I have selected, will change how many frames it loops, right? So now I've got a little bit of a looping animation here. So once I'm done, once I'm done with this animation, when I'm completely finished, just in case if I'm not here or something and you need to remember how to do it, I'm going to go up to File, Export. And remember, we export as a video. We don't do movie because that exports each individual frame. Instead, we do export video. I'm going to make sure that both of these are unchecked when last frame is reached works. And I'm going to go ahead and hit browse. I'm going to put it on my desktop and I'm just going to name it something random, right? So works for me. So I'm going to hit save and then I would hit export. So once that's done, my animation is done and that's it. So that's basically all I need to know. All right. Have a good one, guys.